Hi, my name is Cam Shaw. I'm the manager and instructor in the Diploma in Turfgrass Management Program at the University of Guelph, and I'm here today with the Guelph Turfgrass Institute to teach you how to lay sod. So there are a number of reasons why we may choose to sod an area. Predominantly, it may be because we had some damage occur. We may have had an exceptionally dry summer where grass died from extended drought periods. We may have had some particular stress, or maybe we misapplied a product and killed the grass. Or perhaps we had some pest damage like insects such as chinch bug or grubs, or perhaps just some disease. Other reasons for choosing to sod or regrass a green space could be that we want an improved species or cultivar that may have more desirable characteristics performance-wise for that environment over what was there previously. So some people often ask, what's the most appropriate decision? Should I start everything from scratch and seed myself and grow it in right from seed? Or should I sod? And there are different answers to that approach, and it all depends on how much time you have, your resources, and maybe your particular area of expertise. We choose to seed when we have a lot of time on our hands. Seed needs to be babied right from scratch. A lot of effort needs to go into seed bed prep. We need specialized tools for applying seed. We need to understand the type of rate. We also need to have a significant amount of knowledge over the type of seed that we want to purchase. We may choose Kentucky bluegrass or perennial rye or fine fescue or a mix. We may even want to go more advanced and pick cultivars or bred improved versions of those species that have desirable characteristics over the others. So when we're talking about our ability to customize how we grow it in, seed is always the best choice. The caveat being that we need a lot more time and resources and expertise to do so. We choose to sod when we want a job to be done relatively quickly. In theory, sod is already grown. It's already established on a site at a sod farm. It's cut there, it's harvested, transported to market. Maybe you purchased it at a landscape supply store, or maybe you went directly to the sod farm. But regardless, that sod roll comes already mature, and all we have to do is lay it out properly, water it, culture it to grow roots, and then in theory, in a very short period of time, we've got a ready-to-use green space, compared to seeding, which takes a little bit longer to grow in and achieve maturity in order to be used functionally. Let's talk a little bit about sod quality. As a consumer, we want to make sure that we're purchasing and selecting the highest quality sod, because that will in turn produce the highest quality outcome when we're done. Firstly, I think it's good to start talking about tensile strength. Tensile strength is really just tested by a good tug test. It comes from how well established the roots, stems, thatch, and grass is in a sod roll. So if sod is harvested too soon or harvested too shallow, it may just pull apart in your hands, and that's not the kind of sod we want. We want something with thick, with substance, and when we tug it, it doesn't pull apart. So that's tensile strength. We also want to look at the quality of soil underneath. Oftentimes when soil is harvested, it may be harvested on a relatively unideal root zone. It may come with some clay transported in it, and sod that comes with a clay layer across the bottom can cause issues with water infiltration later. So it's always good, if we have the opportunity, to pick the best quality sod off the pallet if we're just doing a small job. And one of the ways we can do that is just by looking to see what the consistency of soil is and trying to avoid any thick clay that's been collected during the harvesting process. We also want to look at the consistency of the sod. Now, we talked about thickness earlier and tensile strength, but I want to make sure that from this end of the sod roll to this end of the sod roll, that depth of cut is relatively consistent, and my corners are nice and 90 degrees. And again, on this side, my depth is the same as this side. So that's a reference to the consistency of a sod roll. The last point of quality I just want to go over briefly is the green side, and probably the most important side of the sod roll. We often don't think about checking everything. We just take it for granted that everything is of high quality in here. And most of the times it is. Our sod producers are excellent that way. But from time to time, there are inconsistencies in the field that may manifest on our rolls. There could be gaps or holes in the top of the sod. There could be evidence of what we call heating. When sod is harvested, it's undergoing a major stressful element, and then it gets transported and it sits rolled up like this, sometimes for as much as 24 hours or longer. And as it sits rolled up like this, it starts to heat. So it's important for us, the consumer, to take a second and roll back that sod and just use your hand to touch it and feel that heat. If it feels hot to the touch, there's a good chance that that grass or that sod roll is going under a tremendous amount of stress, and it might be worthwhile selecting something else if there's something else available. Beyond just sod heating, we want to just make sure that we've got a nice, lush, consistent coverage. And I can see from side to side on this sod roll, I have no gaps, I've got good density, grass is nice and green, it's cool to the touch. That to me means it's ready for laying. So when we want to do a really high performance job, and maybe we're willing to get a little bit more complex, there are some elements we want to consider in terms of what I would call species selection. Some grasses perform better in certain environments and may not perform better in other ones. So take some time to survey your site if you have the time, and consider how much sun is there, how much shade is there. Look at it at different times of year, because just because it's sunny in the fall or the summer doesn't necessarily mean it's sunny in the spring. Consider airflow. Airflow is important for reducing leaf wetness periods, which can increase things like disease, or maybe even make an area more prone to pests coming in, like insect pests. Other things to consider are traffic. So in your learnings, you will learn which types of species perform better in certain environments, and it's up to you, the homeowner or the contractor, to ensure for the best possible outcome, you're selecting the right species. Today, for this job, we are selecting a type of sod that's predominantly Kentucky bluegrass. We have selected Kentucky bluegrass as the predominant species because our site has lots of sun, which Kentucky bluegrass loves. And it is also an area that tends to be prone to traffic. And Kentucky bluegrass has some anatomical features called rhizomes, which are underground stems. That's what creates our wonderful tensile strength in most sod. And those rhizomes and that good rooting system is what helps us create a traffic tolerant species. And so compared to other options, it will outperform other species that we could select. If you have a more challenging environment that you're going to be laying sod in and you're not sure, there are many experts out there, whether you're reaching out to Landscape Ontario, maybe a local turf professional, perhaps reach out to the University of Guelph and the Guelph Turfgrass Institute, and they might be able to offer you some help.